So does that mean we're live?
We're live.
We are here. We are here. We are here. Hi, y'all. This is RT Bear, Portfolio Review. And this is where we smash everybody's self-confidence. We reduce them to tears and ash. No, we actually do this to make everybody a better artist. So hopefully we're building, we're giving you guys something that will help you develop as an artist and help you become, I guess, professional status. So like I said, I'm RT Bear, and I have 30 plus years in the comic book industry, working for both Marvel and DC, Spider-Man, X-Men, Superman. And as always, Taylor, say hi.
Hi, everyone. I'll be reading your questions in the chat, so go ahead and hit Art up with any questions and comments you might have.
Yeah, hit me up. Hit me up. And so this was titled 18 and Life to Go. Because get it, episode 18, and this could be the first day for of the rest of your life, people. This review could change everything. The three people that are on this in this review for episode 18. So yeah, I'm gonna give a little bit of time for everybody to come over and hang out and watch. And one of the things, I know who did the song 18 and Life to Go, but since we're going to do the Cyber Frog Bucks, I don't know if you guys saw the other chats that we did, but we have a Cyber Buck that has Ethan Cyberfrog on it, and so if I ask a question or Taylor asks a question, and you answer it, then if you send me your email, I'll send out a Cyber Buck as a thank you for helping us out. But just since I do know, I'm going to ask the question anyway, and I just want to see if this will work. So, who sang the song? What band? 18 and Life to Go. All right, guys, I need to hear some feedback. So while you guys are pondering this deep question, I'm going to go to our first review. Sweet Mama Jamma. Look at this.
We got Ray Thulu says Skid Row.
Oh man, that wasn't even hard.
He looked it up.
He looked it up. You know he did.
I shouldn't doubt you, Ray Thulu. Sorry.
It's such an obscure song. No one knows Skid Row. Sebastian Bach. Yeah, if you go to Art by T Bear, and there's a way to send me an email. So send me an email through the site, and send me give me your email, and I'll send you out a Cyberbuck.
Con Rathov, hello friend. He said that's dope.
The artwork here, or just the contest?
I think he thinks the contest is dope.
Yeah. Wow, this is really cool. There's a lot of work in here. That's a cool panel layout. So
Ray Thulu says it's not obscure if you went to high school in the 80s.
That's true. Uh-oh, what was that? Well, right off the bat, I'd say that guy's got a pretty big melon. It's a pretty big head. Wow, this is really, really ambitious. And a really big hand, too, but that could be his style. There's some guys that do big hands and big heads.
The artwork, Con the Wrath of Diggs.
The Wrath of Diggs.
Well, both, he says.
This is very good, very nice. I really like the panel layouts too. So, as always, we look at it, we evaluate it, and then we figure out a way to help. Wow, I like this. Are these a bunch of figures flying into this guy's head? Do you see him, Taylor?
That's what it looks
These
like.
winged characters?
Pretty cool.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Oh, they are. Look at this one, too. They're destroying that other guy, though. I guess the shield will hold, but their heads won't, even though they look like they're made out of the same material. They're all rock, but for some reason, the rock shield will hold them. But if they hit you in the head, they'll destroy you.
Oh, comic books.
Yeah, it's comic book logic, right? We all do it. I like the glowing eyes. Like I said, I'm going to pull this back. It's a double page, so it's a little hard to get in the whole frame here. But let's look at it in as much of its entirety. Wow, this is a crazy cool widescreen panel, and it's really working. The camera tilt is really nice. This is a really nice panel. It's a really nice panel layout. Do we have a name, Taylor? This is...
I don't think they included their name.
Oh, you guys, put it in the... is this the...
Yeah, the actual
description?
file name,
Yeah, the
please.
file name. Because even if you do it in the email, it's not going to register. So I need it in the... when you name the file, put your name in there. If you want it read. If you want it to be anonymous, that's cool as well. Wow. The only thing I see is some of the drawing isn't very strong, but this crazy demon rabbit thing over here is pretty awesome looking. Yeah. So I'm trying hard to find something I can say about it other than it's awesome. So one of the things, like with faces, try to structure up your figures a little bit better, because I can see this eye is a little higher than this one. So I like the placement of this eye here. So what I'm going to do is kind of indicate more where this one should be. And also keep in mind that there's a nose bridge here. And so when you do an eye on the other side of the nose bridge, even if this is a human, that this eye kind of goes a little bit behind it, just a little bit in this case. I don't know. Like I said, this is some of this is going to be nitpicking, but I'd like to see this hand maybe a little bit bigger. And I know I'm going to contradict myself later because I already said that hand, the rock guys, are a little big. So I think this would read a little bit better. And don't be afraid to draw through things, because if you follow this to its natural trajectory, the arm is going down in this direction, and I think it should go more like somewhat in this direction here. So I'd look at hands a little bit more.
G says, wow, thank you for reviewing this art. This is my piece. Thank you.
Hey G, it's really nice. If this looks like a made-up story, it looks pretty cool. I like all these things flying into these guys, especially this one where they're just taking the guy's head off, and that's a pretty cool impact right there.
Oh, hey, Art, I sent my file through MediaFire. I sent without my name in the file. Sorry, says Con. Just do it next time. It's okay.
Is that his name? Oh, he's
That's
just
someone
saying,
else.
oh, someone
Yeah.
else, yeah. Well, when I'm doing a review, just if it's your piece, just do like what you just did, and let me know so I can use your name. And I already forgot this gentleman's name.
G.
G. How could I forget? G. Gee whiz. I know that it's a rock shield and it's very organic, but I think what I would do, and don't be afraid of doing this, take an ellipse and draw it with an ellipse. And then you can always make it more organic as you ink it or whatever. So I didn't do a great job, but you can kind of see, like the shape of the bottom part of the shield is not the same as the top. And usually round shields are symmetrical. So left, right, up, down, they're all the same dimension. So I think the shield would look more like a real shield and less of just like some odd shaped thing that he's holding up. Um, Also, make sure you draw through, because, well, actually, let me see before I speak. Looks like the arm's coming in this direction. So the elbow, yeah, actually this would work, and then the fist would be somewhere in there. So if you draw, always draw through your objects. I was thinking it was, at first, that it was kind of a Captain America thing where the hand was out, like the arm was up like this. So I was going to suggest, because sometimes you see Cap's fist coming out from the shield. And I like that just because sometimes it gets weird if you don't see hands. But this works. This works, G. Yeah. I think if you want this to show like they're just barely kind of penetrating the shield, I think I would diminish the size of some of these rocks. Or don't have the rocks at all. Because I think that they're kind of doing you a disservice. It looks a little too perfect, like the way the rock shapes are. So maybe if they were a little bit more organic. See how it's freeing it up? So maybe if some of them were a little smaller, and possibly if you made some of them like just small little fragments out further. I guess it looks a little too patterned, so make them a little bit more organic, and it will, like the one here, that's really cool. So kind of more like that, but I like the idea of those things flying in there. And having said that, I think since this is pulled back, this impact here, it might actually look cooler if the big pieces aren't in front. And not to get graphic in my description here, but they're hitting and they're pushing it through the head. So unlike here where they're kind of bouncing off the shield, this one they're actually going through this guy's head or his throat or whatever it is. So I would maybe just keep these little specks that you have here, and then keep the volume of the rock back here. So what that's doing is it's really helping sell the idea that those things are like going right through his head. Like you could even maybe have some bigger pieces that look like the part of his head, the back of his head or whatever. And that might help sell this impact a little bit more. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to, if your visual language for the shield is this, you don't want to always replicate that, especially if it's not the same type of effect. So it only works if it's different. So these guys look like they could possibly be just hitting it and splatting, but they're not going through. These bird creatures are actually going right through this guy. Looks painful. But yeah, and again, this shield, get a template, even though it's an organic, they're rock, but get a template and find your right template for it, because it doesn't quite look symmetrical. So, Taylor, I think I brought this up before. The templates that you used, do you remember the
that's
company
right.
name, the business
I
name?
always want to say Stedler, but I don't think is that what it's called? Hold on.
I don't know.
I'm gonna go grab some.
Yeah, she's gonna go grab some and give you the name, because I think I mentioned it before. So I'm gonna give you the brand name so you can look for it, And what it is, it's a template set. And I think each one of the templates is only 5% different from the other one. And they have all different sizes. So if you're an artist, it's an amazing tool to have. So the templates will help you structure things up better, because sometimes freehanding, especially like this huge shield, it becomes really, really hard. Taylor's
There we
back.
go. I can show him some of these.
Oh, it's called, is that Picket?
Picket.
All right, I'm gonna put this in front of the camera. Let's see. So this is Picket ellipse set, and there's two of them. So this is one of them, and they come in. Let me open this up. They come in a folder. Oops, I bumped the camera. So this is as far in as I can get. So they have all these different templates, and if you don't know what a template is or what it looks like, this is what it looks like. And so these are really cool, and you're not going to be able to see them, but on the back there's these little nibs. You can kind of see them here, and that makes it so it doesn't touch flat to the page. So you can ink with these as well. You can see that we have some ink on this one right here. And so what it does is it picks it up from the page. So if you don't have a set of templates, these are really, really expensive, but if you buy these and you take care of them, thank you, Taylor, they will last you forever, and they're invaluable. You will use them more than not. And I highly suggest picking yourself. Like I said, there's two of the folders, and I think they're over $100. But when you go to a normal art store and things, they just don't have a lot of variety of them, and sometimes they're really small, so they're only going to help you if you're drawing really tiny. But these ones, they get quite big. So the Picket set is really, really good. And like I said, it's expensive, but if you take care of them, they'll last you a long time. And make sure you get the ink set, because then because it's better to have more options than not. Because if you want it to lay flat, you can just flip it, the other side. And if you want to ink, then you flip the ink side, that's risen up. It has those little nibs on it. So I really, really, if you're an aspiring artist, get those, because they're amazing. Even if you're an inker, get them, because you'll be able to ink with them. The rocks, I think for me, maybe some of them, they're just kind of, they're misplaced. So maybe if this one was smaller and more of the big rocks were down below, like in here.
Title says, I have one of those. They're nice and durable. Mine couldn't have been more than 10. And 10, that doesn't, I don't know if that's
$10 for the whole set?
I think he means one piece.
Oh yeah, maybe one
That sounds
piece.
about right.
Yeah. No, they were expensive.
Anyone remember trying to draw a perfect circle by hand because you thought using a template was cheating? Ask Con.
I never did, but I never had any money, so I always ended up drawing them by hand anyway. Okay, that's a little too far back. This is a complicated piece because it's a double page. But yeah, once again, just on the same rock thing, if you push them back, what you have is you have this movement going here, and so the impact is hitting here, and then the debris is flying after the break. So it's just a way of selling some of these impacts better. But this is really ambitious, this page. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I like each and every aspect of it. Like I said early on, I think you have the helmet, which is probably, it still looks a little bit big, but you have the head almost, it looks like the head is the helmet size, his head. So you have to kind of think about how the head fits into the helmet, and then draw the helmet around it. So I think if you just brought those ideas into it, this would work better. You'd have to readjust the helmet because the eyes are probably here or somewhere in here, and then the nose in here. So then the helmet detail would be, somewhere in here. I hope this is coming through for you guys. Sometimes this gets a little busy. But yeah, I'd say overall the head is too small. And if you're going to keep the helmet size, just draw the head and face smaller within the helmet, and you'll have a proper size. And then I realize, hold on, sorry, that sometimes we want to move things forward, like this hand, for dynamics, but this is pretty big. It's a pretty big hand. So unless the characters are misproportioned, like on purpose, then it's a design aspect or design, a character design thing. But I would say also some of these fingers look a little long. So I would push them back like this. And always remember, like there's a design or a thing that you can remember with fingers and the backs of hands is they always kind of go in this shape. Because the middle finger is the longest. The pointer finger is the second, third, fourth. So if you think about it in this kind of shape, then you know how to prioritize. Like this front finger looks too big. So then you have kind of this little pyramid, or what would you call it, like a triangular shape there. So it looks too long in here, and then the back of the palm looks a little long. So I think from this area to this area is probably more your hand size. And if you look at it still in comparison to the face and the head, that's still a really, really big hand. And you might want to adjust the sword, but I think the sword, if it's a really big broadsword, it still could work. And then I would try to do force perspective here on the forearm so it matches the hand size a little bit more. But like I said, this still looks really, really big to me, G. The hand, the sword, and everything in comparison to the character's body. And it also, sometimes you have to prioritize things because do you want people to see the shield and these things coming down first and foremost, or do you want to see him losing his arm first and foremost? So since the shield is more in the foreground, I think it should be more in the foreground, then I think all of this hand and sword should be a lot smaller. Legs good. I like the designs, the rock warriors. I like this, but I'm not sure. Are these guys kind of coming out of these floating rock formations? If so, it's a pretty cool idea. But I might try to delineate some of the colors so this knight looks more like he's standing out from this background here, because it's a little unclear. It's a little hard to see him. And I kind of have sometimes I have these problems with tangents. So this side of the rock is kind of real close to this guy. So let's see if this works out. Sometimes it doesn't. But if maybe you made the rock shape more like that, so you can still see the arm coming out here, but I think it might sell it a little bit better.
G says, yes, they're coming out of the rocks and the ground.
Ooh, I like that. Cool. Well, if that's the case, then you can try what I just did with the changing the shape of the rock, but in the color, it might be an easier fix is this smoke or this whatever's coming out, make it a different color because that might help pop your warrior from the rock that he's coming out of. But that's a really cool idea. There's a lot of cool ideas happening here, G. I like it. And there's multiple things happening constantly. Like this looks like a knight that's he's coming from. It actually looks like he's dropping in this direction. So I don't know what he would be dropping from. So I would think what might be cooler or more cool if you're trying to show them showing up in different ways, have him coming up out of the water. And then see your action lines. When you do action lines like this, they either show movement like he's doing this, back and forth, or he's coming down in this direction. But I think what you're trying to do is have him come up out of the water. And also, if I did that, I would have like he's coming up, like more, like raw, like he's coming up like that. So that's that. Little figures are awesome. Fire effects are cool. So I take it this is our two characters that we started the page with.
This reminds me of Reboot for some reason, says title. I think it's because the villain. I'll let you out. Do you remember Reboot art?
No.
It was that 3D animated show. The villain looks kind of similar, I think.
Oh, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. Still pretty darn cool. This is really ambitious, G. I don't know. I like that he's coming through. But what could be cool is that this thing was more laying down and that this one here was less straight up. So if that one was taking on this shape, it might be a little bit more interesting to have the foot coming in like that. It looks more like he's knocking them over. I think this is a little, it's not exaggerated enough. There's a trick that you can do since this is really busy. These shrubs back here, you still have blacks on them. I would start toning back the detail as it goes in this direction to the point where none of these shrubs in here that I marked have black on them at all. And then maybe try to make this one have more black in here, less. So what you're doing is you're kind of doing some forced perspective, aerial perspective in detail as well, not just in size, but in detail. So if this shrub here has more blacks in detail, and then they go less and less as they go in this position or in this direction. Sorry, I think it'll work. It'll work to your benefit better, and it's a way of prioritizing detail, because sometimes too much detail can make things hard to read. So sometimes we have to prioritize things, like you're hatching on these buildings. Some of the detail you might want to simplify so it's not competing as much with foreground elements, like your grass details and things like that. Because like I said, there's a lot of things going on in this page, or this panel specifically, and it's all good. So this guy looks like, are they? I think they're falling from the sky. This one looks like it's more falling from the sky. So maybe the guy in the water is falling from the sky. I just would make the action lines just on top of the object then. I wouldn't have him cut through like that as much, because it's kind of unclear.
G confirms, yes, some are falling from the sky.
Yeah, I really like that. There's one thing that, and I'm gonna have to bust your hump. The rest, most of it is, it's like, you know, just learning curve. But this is, I think this may be the biggest faux pas, is you crop this guy out of the panel, and I think, well, I know that it's a really bad move. I know you're trying to prioritize like what you see, but like this guy's kind of cropped the shield, so you see him more as a background character, but this guy is more in the foreground. So what I think I'd do is I'd move him over to where I could see, or make him a little smaller to where you could see the full figure. Here's his shield coming in, and I think it would read better. And then keep the smoke where it's at, but then you could have part of the smoke go behind him as well. It'll sell it better. So yeah, that's the my big qualm. And then the last panel is pretty cool. So they're going towards the gate there. I'm trying to think if there's a better way to do this, because this is kind of unclear unless there's a panel that shows it more clearly. But I assume that all these guys that are going in this rapid fire are these demons with the wings here. So if that's the case, I think if there's a page that sets this up, it could work. If not, all these things moving here are unclear what they are. So I can't really think of anything right off the bat, but I think if this is a real important aspect, it might want to be a bigger panel and possibly have this character more in the background here, and then having those things flying. There's their arms, their wings, you know, and then you could have like a foot here, and then like you could have some in the background here, you know. You could even move her down in the composition. I think it's it looks like a female character or silhouette to me. This blackened this silhouetted character, move him or her down, and then put like, well, let me go back. I actually kind of misdrew that. Draw some of those things here. So you could even cross, like, see how you cross the panel there with her head? You could cross the panel with this guy's wings. And also, you don't really have a good close-up of those characters, those demon guys with the goat horns and the wings. So this way you can actually show one of those designs off and have them coming forward. And the thing is, I think in the dialogue, this character could be saying, go towards the gate or something like that. And so they're flying, because I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to set up that they're flying at the gate. But it really feels like it should almost be a 2-panel sequence. Like, you know, there could be this panel that I drew, and then the panel that you drew where you can see where they're going, or the next page, you see them just bashing through the gate. as like, if the dialogue says, rush the gate or whatever, and then the next panel is them just bashing through the gate on the next page. That could work as well. Or like I said, if this was a two-panel scene, so you're setting up those guys, your demon guys, and then you would be showing them flying towards the gate. Like right now, I can't think of any other way to do it. I'm sure there's a million other ways to do it. I just can't think of any right now. But that's what I would do, based on your layout that you have right now. Pretty cool. All right, G. Very, very good. I hope I gave you some good stuff, some good tips there. Let's go to the next one here.
Got a couple new people, including a Pixel Trader. Welcome, you guys.
Hey, Pixel. Never a true trader. If these are your pencils, these are really good. I don't have a name here.
I believe it's at the top written.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah, thank you. It's Miguel Angel
Hernandez?
Hernandez, yeah.
G wants to thank you profusely.
Oh, you're very much welcome, and thank you. You're very brave. You're very brave for sending stuff, for a public review like this. So I thank you for being as brave as you are, because that's not easy to do. And now we have another brave person. I believe if these are your pencils, Miguel, you're already professional quality. I don't have much to say about this. These layouts are good. The drawing's really strong. Your sense of light and dark are pretty amazing. All this detail is crazy. Look at this, Taylor, through this window.
Yeah, I was kind of blown away by it when I opened it up.
And you know that I'm pretty sure this is a New York bridge. I don't know the name of it, but so even they're in New York, just by seeing that. So there's a lot of storytelling stuff going on here. The thing that's throwing me right now is, does this look like a microphone, Taylor?
That's what I thought it was.
Is he like he's podcasting while he's cleaning his gun? That'd be awesome storytelling. And then these guys come in. This is really, really good. Look at the window. The panes are all blowing out. Wow. This is blowing me away.
This guy's talented. I love those shadows, says Con. Yeah, the chat loves this guy.
Wow. If these are your inks, I don't even know what to say about that. I'll try, just because I feel obligated to say something. But my goodness, this is pretty good. Wow. What do you think, Taylor? Do you think Angel or Miguel just sent this to show off? Do you think he's just like, hey man, I need some exposure?
He sent a lot of pages. I don't know if this is more of a shout out page than a critique page.
Yeah. Wow. Man, and he's not afraid of the work. Look at these screens, these monitors in the background here. There's a lot of work in here.
Also, I'm wondering if this was published or if this is like his tryout thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's polished enough for Marvel or DC, but there's a lot of publications. I mean, this is great stuff. What I mean by polished is just that they're looking for something a little bit different, usually. But this is so good, they might make an exception. The inks are a little sloppy, but I think it adds to the charm. I don't even know. Like, anything I would say would be like tighten it up. Because there's obviously some overlaps with the arm here, and there's some broken lines and things, but I think it adds the charm. Because look, Taylor, like even these screens aren't ruled out. They're pretty free. Look like free hands. And there's a thin to thick here on the screen that I would never do myself. But
Kind of interesting.
yeah, I wish he was here so
Do you
we
think
could
this is
ask him.
digital or traditional?
Some of those tapers look, they look digital, but I'm not. But there's grade. Maybe it's just the resolution. It's kind of grayed down. It's not a true black. And there's some of the stuff that there's transparent, so it looks like it might be marker. But some of these lines like this, that looks very digital to me. But you can do transparencies, right? Like
Yeah.
digitally.
I guess it could be either one, but I think your instinct is right about that line.
But see, but I know you can do these digitally too. They look like marker strokes because see where they overlap, they're darker, they're more black. But some of these tapers, like this right here, they look more digital to me. Yeah, whatever it is, it's quite good. Maybe it's a little bit of a hybrid because sometimes you see that as well. Man, I'm looking here. I don't see a whole lot. So what do you think, chat? What should what should I say? Should I find something?
The chat was talking about something about the figures, their necks or something, but I don't know what they're.
In the second panel here?
I think the fourth panel. Is that
Oh,
what you
this
guys are
one?
talking about?
Yeah, right here. Yeah, I saw that too. There looks like there needs to be a collarbone and his collar might be a little too low. But if you look at it here, it's unbuttoned here. So it is a little low, but it might possibly be too low. So maybe he just didn't draw the hint of a collarbone. But maybe if the collar was up a little higher, it might help. Thanks, guys, for finding something. And then, but this is part of the charm. Like these glass, like the two sides are obviously not symmetrical, and there's a tilt in the glasses that doesn't follow the tilt of the head. So like you can see this ear is lower than this ear, so this one's higher. So there's some symmetrical aspects that aren't quite working in this face. Like this eye looks like it should go up just a little bit more. But my goodness, you know, and possibly this rag, since it's in the foreground, a little thicker line, maybe even the hand.
The chat's getting a little nitpicky now.
Are they? Well, if
So the jacket in the second panel is too long. Yeah,
too long.
I don't know about that. He said we're trying to help.
I appreciate it. I mean, it's hard, right? It's so darn good. It's really accomplished. Look at this fade right here. This little fade of the detail. That's nice.
Sherman has a good question. Do companies care whether inks are digital or if they're traditional? Does it make any difference to them?
No, as long as it's good. I think there's always exceptions, and I think in this day and age, as long as it's good, they'll go along with it. Yeah, I can find a bunch of inking things that I could critique on this, but I think part of what's going on here is just there's a speed to the work that's adding this kineticness to it, this energy. And I think if you were to try to tighten it up, it might not look as cool, to be honest. So here's a symmetrical, like the glasses aren't quite symmetrical. It's lower here than here. But like I said, I mean, this is all kind of nitpicky stuff.
That's a solid page. It would be on the high end for an indie book like Image or Dark Horse.
Oh yeah,
Just
definitely.
not-
That's a good call. I was gonna say it, but I didn't want to. I don't know if that's. I don't know if that's not a good way to talk about somebody's work. But I guess indies are just as important. Yeah, this storytelling, all this. There's like a Punisher emblem. For some reason, I'm not 100% sure, but these may be inks over a Punisher penciler.
It is a Punisher. It does say Punisher on the title part, but I don't think he specifies.
Yeah, these might be straight up inks, but without knowing that, I don't know how to critique it. It is a pretty cool piece just unto itself, but having said this these might be pro pencils, and these might be inks over the pencils. You know what I mean? Like it's an amateur inker, but although it still is pretty darn good. This is really, really accomplished. So if you're in the chat or you're listening or you know somebody or you know this person's work, try to get him on the chat so
Find Miguel.
yeah, we can clarify. Because there's no other name here. So usually if there's a penciler, they'll write the penciler's name and the inker's name. So that's the only reason I think that this is one and the same person. But I could be wrong because it's really, really solid. And if these were just inks, I could critique it. I would critique it differently. But since it seems like it's all encompassing, pencils and inks, it's pretty darn good. So he's making me feel bad. I'm gonna move on. Pin up. Oh, I know that guy. Let's take this in. This looks like charcoal. Personally, I do not like working with charcoal, and I do not like handling charcoal originals. You get dirty. You get so dirty. He's a dirty bird. Yeah, this is kind of more illustrative, less comic book. But I will try. I did start off as an illustrator. I think your crown is fading too much in your background. So the crown is the big selling point of the image. So I think I would light it better. It's a little too dark. It needs to stand out more. The lip, lip looks like it goes over further than this lip, and he's not really doing anything with his mouth. So I would say you probably want to try to make both the sides relatively equal, even though it is slightly three-quartered, but it's not as three-quartered as the way you have the mouth here. I'd probably make it a little shorter. I think right there it would work. If he does have an ear, I don't know if Thanos has an ear. I want to see a hint of an ear here, because it looks like there is one here, but even though this is in black, it's not that black that you wouldn't see some kind of ear detail.
Biggie would approve, I think, says Conrad.
I like the texture on the fur. Once again, I'm a big stickler for like glasses or anything that's mechanical to be symmetrical. So let me see if I can do this. So one of the things that helps when you draw is put guidelines, especially if things are more symmetrical. So when you start drawing your guidelines, you can see how the glasses are already not symmetrical with themselves. And you can even do stuff, straight down. Actually, his center would be over a little bit more, somewhere in there. I think, I'm not real sure, I'm just throwing this in there. But you can already see how the mouth is not really working as well. So you can also draw guidelines this way and this way to structure up these glasses a little bit more. Sometimes even to get the chin straight, just to get yourself like a true horizontal and vertical. It helps. And then the face is this nice texture over here. It's really resolved, and I don't mind the fur not being as resolved because it's kind of it's busy if you try to draw it in too much detail. So I think that works, but if these hands were resolved a lot better and were harder edged like the face, I think I see it's so light I can't even really see the structure of it. But if it was, yeah, I don't know where the pinky is, but if it was more structured, I think you would read it better, because the hands, like the crown, are also a really big selling point. So the things you have here that make it is not just that it's, is this Biggie?
Yeah.
Yeah. That it's a take on a photograph. But you also have, you have Thanos with the crown and this. So, you have your Thanos, but the selling point is the sunglasses, the crown, and these hands. So I think those are the things that you really need to get crisp and render them a little bit with a little bit more detail, and they'll pop out more and they'll help sell the image. Like I said, the fur is kind of cool, and then the solid blacks back here, it's all good. But if you could resolve the hat, the crown a little bit more, structure up the glasses, and then structure up these hands a little bit more, and clarify the detail a little bit more on the wrists and stuff, I think you would have a really successful piece here. So I'm looking for a name. No name. There's initials. Let me blow this up so I can give you credit. Is that HSD?
I think so. I think it's a D.
Yeah. So pretty good. I'd say just try to resolve this a little bit better. Charcoal's hard. I don't really like it. And if you're going to work charcoal, I don't know the size of this image, but usually you have to work quite big to get any kind of detail, because it's not a real accurate or precision tool. So maybe that's why I don't like it. And it's really messy. So I think that's it. So if there's anything you'd like to add, Taylor?
This is your last chance to ask any questions, you guys. Do we have anything to plug?
Yeah, we have a black and white Indiegogo campaign.
That's right. You could watch the last video if you'd like to see a sneak peek of the black and white Indiegogo campaign and see some new colored pieces.
New color pieces, and we get to we debuted. It's a work in progress, but Taylor's Indiegogo video that she's putting together. So you get to see that too. So I think it's the post before this one. So it's the YouTube video before this one, Hacks Chat. So check that out, and we're going live on Indiegogo probably late next week. We're still trying to put everything together and it's all coming together last minute. So we were going to launch the 10th, but it looks more like it's going to be later in the week, just because there's a lot of moving parts and we still haven't got all the artwork back, the color artwork back from Brian Miller, which, by the way, we announced that Brian came on yesterday. So Brian Miller is a uber successful colorist. He runs a studio, him and his wife, called Hi-Fi Colors, and just look them up. They do some fantastic work, and they've been working in the mainstream Marvel and DC books for years now. So I don't know how we got him, but we got him, and he's coming in. And we also have a letterer, Jeff Eckelberry, that's coming in as well. So yeah, keep in tune with what's going on here, and we'll keep you abreast on all the new goings on with Black and White as they happen. That's the best part about YouTube, is we can get information out to you guys daily, hourly if we have to.
Con asked, do you guys accept a new entry every week as far as portfolio reviews?
Not necessarily every week. We got quite a bit this last time. When did we open it up? Was it last week?
I think last weekend.
Last weekend. So we usually only keep it open for a couple days. So like I said, if the newsletter is usually where we announce it, and on all my social media like Facebook and Twitter, mainly Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Yeah.
I believe. And then the newsletter, they only allow us to do 3 newsletters a month. So it depends on the timing. A lot of times it's in the newsletter, but not always. So if you kind of check out YouTube every day, and you follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, and sign up for the newsletter, one of those you're going to find out, when we open up the more artwork for the portfolio review.
And be sure to check the link or check the description after this video is processed. We'll be posting the links to Art's social media, as well as the official Black and White Facebook page and the newsletter that we were just talking about, to be kept up to date.
Yeah, sign up for the newsletter, guys. It's a good thing, and then we can also be in touch in a better, more direct way. So thanks, guys, and as always, I'm trying to pay this forward. There's a lot of people in my past that did stuff like this for me, and I really appreciated it, and so I'm just trying to pay it forward so I can help out, aspiring artists in any way I can. So keep the faith. This is all good, and always keep drawing. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.